Welcome back to the deep dive. Pricing strategies are something we all grapple with, so today we're going to dive deep into that.
Yeah, it's super important. And
Absolutely.
a lot of times I feel like people kind of just slap a price on things, but there's so much more to it than that.
So true. And that's what we're going to unpack today.
Yeah.
We're diving into this Medium article I found, How to Develop a High-Impact Pricing Strategy to Drive Profit and Growth. It's by I Tried It.
Oh, I love that author. I've read some of their other stuff.
Yeah, they're great. Really insightful.
Yeah, and practical too.
Exactly. We're all about actionable insights here, right?
Absolutely. That's the goal.
So this author, they actually share a story in this article about how they almost went bankrupt.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah, because they didn't have a solid pricing strategy in the beginning.
They just thought fair pricing was enough.
Yeah. Because cover the cost and make a little profit.
But it doesn't really work like that, does it?
No, not at all. They learned the hard way that pricing affects, everything.
Everything, yeah.
It's not just about covering your expenses. It's also about...
your revenue, obviously, but how you position yourself in the market.
Exactly.
Your profit margins, of course.
And how customers perceive your brand.
Totally. If you price something too low, people might think it's low quality.
Exactly. Or if it's too high, they might think you're just trying to rip them off.
Right.
So it's a delicate balance.
Definitely.
And the article really emphasizes the importance of market research.
Market research is so crucial.
Before you even think about setting prices.
Like you wouldn't go on a road trip without a map, right?
Exactly. You need to know where you're going and what you're up against.
Yeah, so first things first, who are your competitors?
Right. Both direct and indirect.
So those are companies selling very similar products or services, and then those who might be in a slightly different category, but still kind of competing for the same customer.
I see. So if you're selling high-end coffee beans...
your direct competitors would be other specialty coffee roasters, but your indirect competitors might be those fancy coffee machines that people are buying for their home.
Right. So you need to know what everyone's charging.
And how they're positioning themselves.
Are they going for the budget market?
Or the luxury market? Are they using subscriptions? Are they doing discounts? All of that.
Yeah, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
And it's not just about the competition.
No, and you also need to know your audience, like a back of your hand.
Yeah. Who are your ideal customers?
What are their needs? What are their pain points? What are they willing to pay?
What do they value?
Exactly. Some customers are all about price,
They just want the cheapest option.
while others are willing to pay a premium for quality or convenience or...
A unique experience.
Totally. So you need to figure out who your target market is and what matters most to them.
So true. And then finally, you need to look at the overall market demand.
Yeah. Is there a huge demand for what you're offering?
Or is it a niche market?
Is it a hot trend, or is it something that's been around for a while and maybe the interest is waning a little?
All those factors play into your pricing strategy.
Oh, absolutely. So once you've done your market research, then it's time to get real about your costs.
Oh, yeah. Time to crunch those numbers.
No escaping it. And I think this is where a lot of people get tripped up.
They don't really know what their costs are.
Or they underestimate them.
Yeah, or they forget about those hidden costs.
The sneaky little expenses that can eat into your profits.
And the article breaks down different types of costs, right?
Yeah, there's fixed costs, which are those expenses that stay the same each month, like rent or salaries.
And there's variable costs.
Those are the ones that fluctuate depending on your production or sales volume, like materials or shipping costs.
And then you have direct costs.
Which are those directly related to producing your product or service.
And indirect costs like marketing or administrative expenses.
So you have to factor in all those costs, even the hidden ones, to figure out your true costs per unit.
Yeah, the author actually shares an anecdote about how they discovered all these hidden costs they hadn't even thought about.
Really?
Yeah, like the cost of packaging or the fees they were paying for online payment processing.
Oh, I bet that added up.
Oh, yeah, and once they factored all that in, they realized they were barely making any profit.
So they had to adjust their pricing.
Exactly. But once you have a good handle on your costs...
then you can start thinking about your desired profit margin.
Right. How much do you want to make on each sale?
Exactly. And then you add that on top of your cost per unit, and voila, you have your base price.
Okay, that makes sense. But now comes the fun part.
Yeah, choosing the right pricing strategy.
Because there are so many options.
There are a ton.
So let's start with the basics.
Okay, so the most basic one is called cost plus pricing.
Cost plus.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
How does it work?
Basically, you just add a fixed percentage markup to your cost per unit.
So if your cost per unit is $10?
And you want to make a 20% profit margin?
You would sell it for $12.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Super simple, but it's not always the most effective strategy.
Why not?
because it doesn't take into account things like market demand.
Or competitor pricing.
Yeah, if your competitors are all selling a similar product for $15.
You might be leaving money on the table by only charging $12.
Exactly. Or if there's not a lot of demand for your product.
People might not be willing to pay even $12.
Right.
So it's a starting point, but maybe not the most sophisticated approach,
Exactly. You need to consider other factors too.
like value-based pricing.
Oh, value-based pricing. That's a good one.
What is that all about?
It's all about focusing on what your customers perceive your product or service to be worth.
So instead of just looking at your costs
You're looking at the value you're providing.
and how much customers are willing to pay for that value.
Exactly.
So if you're selling a product that solves a big problem for your customers,
Or that offers unique features or benefits.
you can charge a premium price
Even if your costs are relatively low,
because you're not just selling a product
you're selling a solution
or an experience.
or a feeling.
So it's all about communicating that value to your customers.
Absolutely. Making them understand why your product is worth the price.
Okay, I like that. What are some other pricing strategies we should know about?
Well, there's competitive pricing.
Competitive pricing, that sounds pretty straightforward.
It is basically you just look at what your competitors are charging.
And match their prices,
Yep. It can be an easy way to stay competitive,
especially if you're a new business.
but it can also be risky
Oh, so?
because it can lead to price wars
Where everyone keeps lowering their prices
to try to undercut each other.
and then no one makes any money.
Exactly. And it can also make it hard to differentiate yourself.
If you're just matching everyone else's prices,
People might not see why they should choose you over the competition.
so you need to find a way to stand out.
Yeah, whether it's through your product features, your customer service, your branding.
Something that makes you unique.
Exactly.
What about penetration pricing?
Penetration pricing, that's an interesting one.
What's the idea behind that?
Basically, you start with a very low price.
To attract a lot of customers quickly
Yeah, the goal is to gain market share.
and discourage competitors from entering the market.
It can be a good strategy if you're launching a new product,
Or if you're trying to break into a crowded market,
but it can also be tricky.
because you need to make sure you can eventually raise your prices once you've established yourself.
Without losing too many customers.
Right. Because people might get used to that low price.
And then balk when you try to increase it.
So it's a strategy that requires careful planning.
And execution, for sure.
Okay, we've covered cost plus, value-based, competitive, and penetration pricing. What else is there?
Let's see. Oh, premium pricing.
Premium pricing, that sounds fancy.
It is, haha.
So what is that?
Basically, you set your prices higher than your competitors.
To signal that your product or service is
Exclusive, high quality.
luxurious.
Exactly. It's all about creating a perception of value.
So this would work well for luxury brands,
Yeah, high-end products or services.
where people are willing to pay a premium for the best of the best.
Right. But you have to be careful.
You need to make sure your product or service actually lives up to that premium price,
If it doesn't, people will feel ripped off.
and they won't come back for more.
Exactly. So it's a strategy that requires a lot of confidence.
And a really great product or service.
For sure.
Okay, we're getting a good overview of all the different pricing strategies,
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground.
but there's still so much more to learn.
Oh yeah, this is just the tip of the iceberg.
We need to talk about dynamic pricing,
Oh yeah, dynamic pricing, where prices fluctuate constantly.
like airline tickets.
Yeah, or ride-sharing services.
It seems like it could be confusing for customers.
It can be, yeah, if it's not done transparently.
Right, people need to understand why the price is changing.
And how it's being calculated.
And then we have bundle pricing,
Ah, the classic bundle.
where you offer multiple products or services together.
At a discounted rate
It's a great way to increase your average order value.
and encourage people to buy more.
But you need to make sure the bundle makes sense for your customers.
Yeah, it has to be something they actually want
And the discount has to be significant enough.
to make it worth their while.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah.
But the key takeaway is that choosing the right pricing strategy is not a one-size-fits-all situation.
Nope.
It depends on your business, your customers, your market.
All of the above.
But once you've picked a strategy,
The real magic is in communicating that value to your customers.
yeah, because if you can't explain why your price is justified,
People aren't going to buy it.
no matter how good your product or service is.
Exactly.
So we need to talk about how to communicate value effectively.
Absolutely. That's a whole other deep dive.
So let's take a quick break and come back to that after the break.
Sounds good. All right, so we're back and ready to dive into communicating value, which, like we were saying, is super important for any pricing strategy.
It is. It's like You can have the best product in the world,
Right.
but if you can't explain why it's worth the price you're asking,
You're not going to sell much, are you?
nope, it's all about making that connection with your customers.
Making them understand why your product or service is worth every penny.
Exactly. So how do we do that? How do we become master storytellers when it comes to pricing?
Well, first off, you got to highlight the benefits, not just the features.
Benefits versus features, a classic marketing concept.
It's so important, though, because people don't buy features, they buy benefits.
So true. So instead of just saying, this product has X, Y, and Z features.
You need to tell them how those features will make their lives better.
Right, like how it will save them time or money or make them more productive or help them achieve their goals.
Exactly. Paint a picture of the positive impact their purchase will have on their lives.
I love that, paint a picture. It's about storytelling.
It is. And another powerful storytelling tool is testimonials.
Oh yeah, testimonials and case studies.
Because people trust what other people say about your product.
More than what you say about it.
Exactly. So showcase those glowing reviews, those success stories.
Let your happy customers do the talking for you.
It's like social proof, you know?
Right. If other people are raving about it, it must be good.
And it builds credibility, too.
For sure. And then transparency is super important, too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Be upfront about all your costs, no hidden fees.
No one likes to feel tricked by those sneaky extra charges.
It erodes trust, you know?
Big time. Transparency builds trust.
And loyalty.
And then finally, if you're confident in your pricing,
And the value you're offering.
don't be afraid to compare yourself to the competition.
Yeah, highlight your unique selling points.
Show how you stack up against the others.
And emphasize why your price is justified.
It's not about bashing the competition. It's about being proud of what you offer.
Exactly. And showing your customers why they should choose you.
I love it. So we've talked about market research, choosing the right pricing strategy, communicating value. What else do we need to cover?
We've got to talk about the psychology of pricing.
Ooh, the psychology of pricing. Now we're getting into some mind games.
Kind of. There are all these subtle psychological techniques that can make your prices more appealing.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Well, one of the most common is charm pricing.
Charm pricing.
Yeah, you've seen this everywhere.
I feel like I have, but I don't know if I can put my finger on it.
It's basically setting your prices just below a round number.
Oh, like $19.99 instead of $20.
Exactly.
That seems so simple.
It is, but it works
Why does it work?
because our brains tend to focus on that first digit,
So we see $19.99 and we think, oh, it's under $20.
even though it's just a penny difference.
Crazy how our brains work.
You know, right?
Yeah.
And then there's prestige pricing, which is kind of the opposite.
Opposite of charm pricing.
Yeah, instead of going just below a round number,
You use a round number.
exactly, to signal luxury or exclusivity.
So a high-end watch would be priced at $5,000, not $4,999.99.
Exactly. That round number conveys a sense of prestige.
I see. Makes sense.
Another tactic is price anchoring.
Price anchoring. That sounds interesting.
So basically, you present a higher priced item first to make the other options seem more affordable.
Oh, like when you see those infomercials.
Yes, they'll show you the deluxe package with all the bells and whistles for like $500.
And then they're like, but wait, there's more. You can get the basic package for just $199.99.
Exactly. And suddenly that basic package seems like a steal.
Because you've anchored the customer's perception of value with that initial high price.
Precisely.
Wow, these psychological tricks are fascinating.
They are, and they work.
So what else do we have?
Well, we already talked about bundle pricing, which is another great psychological tactic.
Right, offering multiple products together at a discount.
It makes the deal seem sweeter.
Because you're getting more for your money.
And then there's decoy pricing, which is a little more complex.
Decoy pricing. Okay, I'm all ears.
So this is where you introduce a less appealing option to make one of the other choices seem more attractive.
So you're strategically placing a dud to make the other options shine brighter.
That's a great way to put it.
I like it. It's like those choose your fighter screens in video games.
Haha.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've got the powerful character, the agile character, and then the one that's just kind of meh.
And no one ever picks the Mac character.
Exactly. It's about subtly influencing perceptions.
I love it. These mind games are amazing.
They are. And they can make a big difference in how people perceive your prices.
This is all so insightful. I feel like we're getting a real behind-the-scenes look at how pricing works.
That's the goal.
But we don't have to do all this manually, right?
Oh, no, thank goodness.
Yeah.
There are tons of tools and technologies available to help us with pricing.
Like what?
Well, there's pricing software for starters.
Pricing software, what does that do?
It helps you optimize your prices based on data-driven insights.
So it's like having a pricing expert on your team.
Pretty much. Some popular ones are Profitwell, Price Intelligently, and Vendavo.
I'll have to check those out. What else?
Then there are analytics platforms like Google Analytics, Kissmetrics, and Mixpanel.
I've heard of Google Analytics, but what do those platforms do in terms of pricing?
They give you insights into customer behavior and sales performance.
So you can see how people are interacting with your website, what they're buying, and how prices are influencing their decision.
Exactly. It's a goldmine of data.
And data's power, right?
Absolutely. And for managing customer relationships and integrating pricing with your sales processes, there are CRM systems.
CRM systems, I know those are important for sales, but how do they relate to pricing?
Well, they help you track customer interactions, preferences, purchase history.
And all that information can be used to inform your pricing strategy.
Precisely. Some popular CRM systems are Thrive, HubSpot, and Zoho CRM.
So many tools to choose from.
And don't forget about A/B testing tools.
A/B testing, that's where you test different versions of something to see which one performs better, right?
Exactly. And you can do that with pricing, too.
So you could test different prices to see which one leads to more sales.
Exactly. Tools like Optimizely and VWO make A/B testing super easy.
Amazing.
Yeah.
With all these tools, we can really take our pricing strategy to the next level.
We can, and the best part is we don't have to do it alone.
Right. We've got technology to help us along the way.
So let's embrace these tools and become pricing masters.
Let's do it.
All right, I think it's time to wrap things up.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have, from market research to pricing strategies to the psychology of pricing.
You had a wild ride.
It has, but I think the most important takeaway is that pricing is not just about numbers.
It's about understanding your customers, your market, and your own business.
And it's about finding that sweet spot where everyone wins.
Where customers feel like they're getting a great deal.
And you're making a healthy profit.
Exactly. It's a delicate balance, but it's achievable.
It is, and it's worth the effort.
Because when you get your pricing right, it can have a huge impact on your business.
It can. It can drive profitability, boost sales, and enhance your brand perception.
So don't be afraid to experiment, test different approaches, and continuously refine your pricing strategy.
And don't be afraid to ask for help. There are tons of resources available, from pricing software to consultants to online communities.
Absolutely. There's no shame in seeking guidance from those who've been there before.
Exactly. We're all in this together.
So to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of pricing.
We hope you found it valuable and insightful.
And we encourage you to keep exploring, keep learning, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Because when it comes to pricing, the sky's the limit.
Until next time on The Deep Dive.